Hi, welcome everybody to our NG Live. We wanted to come to you today to kind of introduce you to some of the work that we've been doing. The last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the different components of our program and the things that we do. A lot of what we're doing in this COVID time has totally been different than what we looked at as a program even years prior. One of the things that we've come to discover is the importance of the parent component and our participation and our involvement with our parents, and the service that we do with our kids has to involve the parents. So today we have a guest with us. Her name is Shirley Ambriz. She is a parent who has a lot of insight on this perspective, and it has helped us a lot because we ourselves have had to kind of get ourselves reintroduced to this dynamic. So I want to introduce you guys to Shirley Ambriz. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here with us today.
The invite.
So Shirley is going to tell you a little bit about herself. But so Shirley, can you tell us a little bit just about yourself? Like how many kids is it that you have? And what grades are they in? And what their ages are?
Yeah, I work full time. I am a mom of 9. Ages are 11.
A mom of 9 and working full time.
Yes.
That is a lot of work, you guys.
So I have an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 6-year-old, 2 5-year-olds, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-month-old.
Wow, that is definitely a challenge.
Yes.
Please have some water.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
So, with all of these kids at home, so tell us a little bit about how did you come about having this great big family? Like,
Well, 3 out of the 9 are actually my husband's alone, and then we're fostering 6. The 6 are my nieces and nephews, so we're kind of taking over for that.
so you did mention that you do work full time.
Yes.
A lot of the parents that we meet have that challenge. A lot of the parents, especially from our elementary school, schools that we're at, we find that in this time of COVID and at-home learning, they were kind of hit by surprise with the fact that now they had to deal with the job that they had, but also like they had kids at home, and they had to do something about that. So you yourself, you mentioned you have 9 kids, which is a lot.
Yeah.
That within itself is almost like a job, right? Within itself. But
Yes.
you also have a job. So
Yes.
what is it that you do for a living? Like,
I'm
what
an
do you-
accounting manager at a staffing agency.
Okay.
So I work full time, pretty much in charge of making sure that all our temps get paid on time. Making sure I do all the extra stuff from my department.
Talk about additional pressure, right? So you have the
Yeah.
pressure of all of these kids at home,
Yes.
and then you have the pressure of all of these employees that you got to make sure that they
Yes.
get paid for on time.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, not just that, but just the entire shift of being at home and navigating everything for all your kids.
Yes.
But still holding yourself to account for your job.
Yes.
That itself is a hard thing to do. So, listen. So a lot of our parents are in the same situation that maybe you were at, Shirley, which was, okay, so you have 9 kids, but some of them are in school.
Yes.
Some of them are not in school.
That's right.
Some of them you have to be responsible for making sure that they're doing learning, and some of them you just gotta watch, right?
Right.
So with all of these 9 kids, what did you do to balance, or how did you balance your time with those two dynamics, the dynamic of those that are in school and the dynamic of those that are not in school?
Day by day basis. I struggle. It was hard. At the beginning, I just had to do it one day at a time. I had to make sure that the kids who had to be in school had to log in. I had to pay attention to them. Had to make sure that the little tiny ones who needed me there to babysit, I had to give them more of my time. Working was also, I was also working, so I had to make sure that I had time to do that, to work, to log in and do what I needed to do.
Yeah, so what we found with some of the kids that we work with is it's exactly that. There's certain tips and certain things that we never really thought about creating a space where the kids could actually learn, creating an environment that was enough for them to be quiet enough and separated enough from their surrounding in the house, because you can't stop the house from being a house. You really can't stop the home and the people that live there from living in that environment.
I mean, it kind of becomes more of a home.
Yeah, kind of does. But at the same time, there's kids, and with you, I mean, there's 9. So, what tips can you give us in regards to that? Like, what did you do? What did you have to think of? What did you have to come up with to be able to create these spaces for the kids to be able to do their learning?
Each kid was able to, each of my child was able to pick their spots. You know, like I tried to work with the ones that were a little bit more behind, or were having a hard time even logging in, because you're thinking about, 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds logging into a computer that they're not used to, because they were not taught to use a computer. Even though, our young kids can play with their phone and everything, but it's different when you're doing your work on a computer. It's not the same as being on a desk in front of a teacher. Now your teacher's in front of a monitor trying to teach you and you're distracted, So I allowed, for the kids that were struggling, I had to put them in their spot and, try to make it work as best as I could, trying to make them comfortable if they were in school.
It's interesting that you say that, because so in my caseload that I have for Washington Elementary, I have about 28 kids on this caseload. And every single environment, every single home that I went into, I encountered different challenges and different environments. Some of them spend their time with their mom. Some of them spend their time with their grandfather or their grandmother or the babysitter or the uncle. And the dynamic changed with every home. But one of the things that didn't change as I started approaching this, and I found this out with even my own child. I have a high schooler, and I had to create a workspace for him. And what made it successful is I let him pick. And it's funny that you said that.
Yes.
But giving them some kind of accountability and some kind of control helped a lot. So when I would meet with the kids, I would say to them, okay, where do you want to do your learning in?
Yes.
Is it going to be the living room? Is it going to be the kitchen? Is it going to be in your bedroom? Is it going to be on the couch? Let's come up with a place that you feel comfortable to do your learning. And
Your
let's
space.
try that.
Yes.
If it doesn't work, if we don't see an improvement, then that's not the space.
Correct.
And let's move it. And with some of them, I'm sure that with some of them it worked.
Yeah.
And with some of them you had to
With
change
some
it,
of them,
right?
I did it, yes.
So
Yes.
it's definitely a learning curve. It was definitely a learning curve. But more than anything, it was the awareness.
Correct.
Making our parents and helping our parents become aware that this is something that they needed to think about.
Yeah, to create a space.
This was something that the student needed to think about. And I'm sure with 9, you had to do a lot of thinking.
Yes, I had to make sure that everyone was comfortable.
Yes, that
This
is
is
the key
new.
word.
It's
Yeah,
new to
comfortable.
everyone, so comfortable is what we needed.
And so 9 babies. You have a big home.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, she
Big
does.
home.
It's,
I mean, having to.
it's a nice big space,
Yes.
but it's still small when you have 9
Wait,
different...
yeah.
Yeah. And so, being that you have this team of youth, right? And now you're navigating this for your team, for your family. What was your biggest challenge, or maybe biggest fear that you'd have to deal with, that you'd have to face now that you've shifted everything home?
The biggest challenge was making sure everything was getting done. We're talking about schoolwork, work life, and home life, being a wife, at the same time. So it was hard, at the beginning we struggled, and I wanted to make sure everything was getting done, making sure that all my kids were doing their homework, and making sure that there was food and the house was clean, making sure that my work was done at work too, because I was responsible to make sure that everybody had a check. You work hard, you want to go home to a nice paycheck, so it was hard.
Yeah. So that's funny that you say that, because so with at-home learning, it became really challenging for you to actually see any progress.
Yeah.
Or actually see wins. So one of the things that we do as a program is we try to work with our students to try to improve in 1 in 3 areas, either the grades, their behavior, or their attendance. And setting benchmarks and setting small goals
Yes.
and setting those goals to be attainable is what's helped us as a program and even at the homes to be successful. And we don't tackle everything at one time.
No.
We don't try to accomplish and see an overnight change. It's not a light switch where the light switch goes on and everything lights up. But it's been measurable gains, small measurable gains. And maybe for this student, it wasn't grades. Maybe it was just attendance, getting them to log in every day.
Yes.
Maybe for some of them, it was like, okay, their attitude at home about this at-home learning was
Yeah.
terrible. And then we got him to accept it. We got him to start doing it. For others, it was like, okay, I'm doing it, but I'm not really doing anything. I'm not participating. I'm not engaging. I'm not really turning in any work. So we set small goals, 1 or 2 classes. Let's show an improvement here. Let's bring that F from like a low F to a high F and then into a D and then into a C. I'm sure you had to do something very similar to that with all of your
actually.
kids, right?
I had one trouble with my nephew. You know, it was really hard for him to get all the work done. And we're not talking about, you know, at the same time, we're doing online learning at home. So a lot of work was given out. You know, a lot of things you had to get done throughout the day. I'm going to say maybe a handful of 10 assignments a day, you know. We couldn't get through all of them. So we just made a goal, let's just get through maybe 5. Let's at least try to do half of it, you know. If we don't finish through all of it, maybe Friday we'll have extra time and we'll do whatever we didn't finish and we'll go back and work on it, you know. Because they were expecting so much for the kids, I just told my kids, you know, try to do your best you can. But let's try to make it a habit of doing at least half of our work, you know, because if we don't do half, then, you know, we're never going to get through it. So it was at least, I try to make sure each kid had to do a goal. You know, do half of your work, try to do your best to do all of it, and if we can't do all of it, it's okay. We can always go back and do it again, you know.
And you know, you're talking about the small goals. You're setting that with each of your children.
Yes.
But I think it goes without saying, although you're a family unit, like all these babies, all these kids have different personalities.
Yes.
Right? They're entirely different little people.
Yes. You know, I struggle with the one who didn't want to log in, who did not want to be in front of the computer. But I was forced to sit there with her on my lap and have her be on the computer.
How old was this one?
At the time, she was 4. Yes.
Wow.
We're talking about preschool. We had to log in for preschool, you know, just to sit there for 10, 15 minutes and make sure that you do a song, you know, or a dance, you know. But I think it was good because it evolved her, you know, it made her realize, now she's 5, you know, that she likes school. She likes her teacher, you know.
That was a great discovery.
Yes. For a young child, yes, it's a big difference, you know, it is a big difference.
And although, like, I mean, you're having to balance work life right now, virtual work life, with all this, with all your kids. But how refreshing was it for you to build kind of that bond with that baby, with that little girl?
It's nice. You know, it's great to be at home, you know, with the baby. You know, you're watching her. It's like, I wish maternity leave, you know, but literally I was working at home, you know. So it was
Not
great
much of a maternity leave that
No,
way.
but it was great. You know, I was lucky with her too because she's a good baby, you know, and her personality is so happy. She's such a joyful baby, you know. No struggle with her, you know, and maybe that's why I have been good so far because I've had these wonderful kids who, you know, rarely make me struggle, you know, but the babies, the ones that grow with you, like really you bond with them even more, you know, so.
No, and then, I mean, so to me, they're all babies.
Yes, yes, they're still babies.
Right, but so I mean, with the kindergartner, preschool, right? Like you're literally like going to preschool with her.
Yes, I'm teaching
That's
her.
what it is.
I'm teaching her. We're going over words. We're going over colors. You know, you literally put your time in there because the teachers are not there. They're there, but you know, you're there physically that they need. You know, this is a time where the kids are learning. You know, this is what they're going to learn for the rest of life, and this is a habit.
Yeah.
If they don't get it right, you know, then they're probably going to struggle. And I didn't want my kids to struggle.
So you became a kindergarten teacher
And a preschool teacher.
and a preschool
And a
teacher
preschool
And a
teacher.
preschool
and
teacher.
a first grade, second grade,
First,
third grade, all
second,
of
third.
them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And the funny thing is that a lot of our parents, they never really had to step into these issues.
Yeah.
They never really felt like that was their responsibility
Yeah.
to do. So what I've seen happen in a lot of cases is the dynamic or the appreciation that parents have for the work that the teachers do,
Oh, yes.
and vice versa, the appreciation that the teachers have about the families that they service. Because every child that walks into that teacher's class, in a sense, is an entire family.
Right.
That child goes into the classroom and he brings that family dynamic and the environment that he's in and all of that into that classroom. And now I have this child that I have the responsibility to teach. But there's so many layers underneath that. And part of our work, part of what we've been able to do is bring some insight to our teachers, to our administration about the dynamic at home.
Yes.
And the challenges at home and the struggles and the different things that our families in our city are going through. So this whole thing has just been a learning experience for all of us.
So speaking of struggles and learning experiences, can you share with us one of those struggles, right? You're kind of giving us a blanket overview of all of it, right? But one of those struggles and how you overcame it.
You know, the biggest struggle that I had, and I mentioned earlier, was like having these kids, all my kids finish their work.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I was pushing them. At the beginning, you know, do your work, finish it. You know, you have to do it. You know, we can't leave the day without finishing our work. And I think a lot of push was done, which maybe we could have stepped back a little bit at the beginning because, you know, a lot was expected too, you know, and the kids learn at their own pace. So as time was going, you know, I started learning. I'm like, you know, I can't expect so much from them because they're struggling themselves. Yeah. You know, and I can't push them to do everything if they don't have all the materials either, you know. So I started making the goals. Let's just do half of our work. Let's just do what we can, you know. And if we don't finish it, like I said, come Friday, we don't have anything else to do, then we'll work on it. You know, that was the best thing that I think I learned because each kid is different.
Yeah.
You know, each kid learns on its own time.
Yeah. Wow. So you had to be just like fluid with it.
Yes.
Crazy patient.
Yes.
So with all of this, obviously, the at-home learning was new. The having to manage 9 kids was new. The having to balance work, home, you know,
Why?
wife, becoming a teacher,
Don't forget
preschool teacher, and obviously, you know, we hear this term a lot, self-care, right? Also
Yes.
having some time to spend to take care of Shirley's needs. But with all of those things in mind, I mean, if you could do one thing all over again, like if you could avoid this one mistake, if you could do that, what would it be? What words, like what could you tell our parents? What can you tell a parent who's, you know, having to balance all of these things, having all of these challenges? What kind of insight, what kind of warning or what kind of advice would you be able to give us?
Take it one day at a time, you know, be patient. Everyone's different. All our kids are different, you know. Yes, we grow up in the same household, but like, each child is different, you know. Don't push them so much, you know. Let them learn at their own time, you know. A lot of patience. That's all I can say.
Well, 9 kids will definitely bring out a lot of patience.
Yes.
Definitely. So, Shirley is not just a parent. She's just not a mom and a dad. She's and a boss per se or a supervisor. She's also a very good friend of mine, and so I talk to Shirley quite often, and I know her story. And the reason I wanted to bring her on was because I saw her struggle, and I saw in her a lot of these challenges as workers in what we do in our community, we were encountering. And I spoke to her and I gave her all the insight and all of these things that we kind of been kind of struggling with, and with the intent to try to help her out. And from the sounds of it, she had a lot of it already figured out. She had a lot of it already kind of worked out, but there was a lot that I learned from her. There's a lot she was able to learn from us. But as a mom, as a wife, what would you tell another parent who's kind of struggling with all of this at-home learning and all of this challenge? Because the reality of it is that at-home learning may or may not end next year.
Yeah.
We don't know that. And I think I've heard this, you guys have heard this term before, COVID fatigue,
Yes.
where our parents and our families, they're just fatigued of having to do this.
COVID exhaustion.
COVID exhaustion.
Yes.
But this at-home learning can do the same thing. At-home learning exhaustion. A lot of our kids, a lot of our parents, they're going through this, right? So what would you tell another parent who's kind of struggling with this and has the same challenges? How would you encourage them to not give up, to come up with a way to muster it up a little bit more of strength, to continue on with this? I mean, with all of your experiences and everything that you've learned with all of your kids. Pretend I'm a mom, and I am just like, had it. How would you encourage me?
It's okay to ask for help, for one. You know, at times I spoke to other moms, you know, I was like, how are you doing? Like, well, I'm doing, you know, kids work, I'm doing homework, and I'm doing, you know, cleaning and cooking. I was like, no, don't cook. Why are you cooking? Order in. Clean. Don't clean. You know, you're already home all the time. You know, take care of the kids. You know, pay attention to the kids. The kids, it's what's important right now, you know. It's okay to ask for help, you know, and I wish I had you guys' program available to us, you know, because I would have, of course, taken advantage of you guys to come over and help, you know, but I do admit that I, at times, needed help, and I, at times, reached out to a couple parents. I'm like, how are you doing? You know what? The kids are just doing what they can, and that's what I heard from a lot of parents. That's why it was time for me to just be like, we are going to do whatever we can do, and what we can't do, we'll hopefully catch up to it.
Yeah, meeting them where they're at.
Yes.
So when it comes to this at-home learning, guys, when it comes to the parents and their involvement in at-home learning, it has definitely been a challenge for all of us. It's been a challenge for us as a program to, first of all, figure out what the needs are.
Yes.
Second of all, figure out how we could be an answer. But one thing that we've taken away from it is, well, actually there's a couple of things, but the main thing that we've taken away from it is that we just need to be willing and open to change.
Yeah.
Willing and open to change. Because the kids is what this is about.
Exactly.
The kids that are at home and they're struggling with this at-home learning, we as the adults, we as those that are watching over them, we have that responsibility to be the ones that are coming up with solutions and bringing up answers and building a team. There's an expression that says it takes a village.
Yeah.
And our team here has partnered up with parents and has built a village around the kids here for SAUSD, for our district. And we've tried as much as possible to become a team that's united, that comes together and kind of helps out to make that one kid win.
Yes.
And allow them to feel like they're winning. Because one thing that COVID has done is it has kind of brought that feeling of losing. And we're changing the story.
Yeah.
We're definitely working towards changing the story so they feel like they're winning, right? So, with that said, Samuel, as a program, I mean, you've been directing our program, and you kind of came in right at the
In
beginning,
the, yeah, at the
at the
start
heart
of
of
all
COVID.
this. Yeah.
Right. So, as a program director, I mean, can you speak to us as to like, what are some of the things that you've kind of had to navigate yourself? I mean, as giving us direction here for us.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate in that I came on with a team that had already had a little bit of experience with all the virtual shift through a summer program. But it's been interesting having to navigate like the different fronts now with the families, right? Just trying to be a resource to all of them. I think my vision has been more geared toward hey, well, how can we be of service to families in Anaheim, families in other school districts, right?
Yes.
Granted, it's we're eager and blessed to be of help to our families here in Santa Ana, but definitely like I know within just other neighboring school districts, the support's needed, especially where there's no telling that we're going to continue this for another year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that said, guys, I think the heart of all that we do is definitely the kids.
Yeah.
It's definitely trying to make them successful, and moving forward, going into the next year. One of the things that a lot of our other schools are talking about is definitely strengthening that parent component, and strengthening our parent involvement, and strengthening our parent relations, because it does take a group of people to be able to get this successful. And there was some conversation today about preparing our students, even now, when there hasn't been a determination made whether they're going to be returning or not, but starting to prepare our students for the social engagement, for the return to school, for the return to normal interactions. And so it is going to take this same team, the team of parents with the organizations like ours that are doing this work, to start speaking into them and start kind of reintroducing them to normality. I have a teenager that doesn't want to leave his room.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's going to be our biggest hurdle as a social service program agency that's working with youth. For you as a mom, as a lead for a family, it's the academic stuff. We can catch up to it. Granted, the kids are going to need to catch up, right? There's differences. There's been a break in the chain now in doing everything from home. But I think socially, that's going to be a challenge.
Struggle.
Yeah.
And moving forward to next year, we're going to take everything that we learned through this year to build on this next step.
Yeah.
The next step is going to be the reintroduction.
Yeah,
reintegrating our students back to a normal school environment.
Yeah.
The reintroduction of our students to social interactions and gatherings in
Group
the classroom.
dynamics,
All of that. So we're going to try to take everything that we learned throughout this last year to continue to help parents like yourself, to continue to help the families of our city and the families of our district, and to just be able to help the kids be able to win in this reintroduction. So with that said, I thank you guys for being here with us. I hope that hearing the struggles and the challenges, but also the wins and the knowledge gained through this whole year will inspire you, will strengthen you, will give you some hope, and possibly allow you to want to do this kind of thing for those kids that are in our city, in the district. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining us. Shirley, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us a little insight. You have a huge family.
Lots of love.
Yeah, lots of love.
Yes.
But thank you for being here with us. We
Thank you.
appreciate you. And then we'll see you guys next week.